Pause for 10 seconds and try a small experiment. Say nothing. Just listen to your body, the breath, the way your shoulders open or clamp, whether your eyes want to stay or scan for an exit. If right now a thin softness spreads over your mind like a light blanket, that may be love speaking in its own language, safe silence. Jung reminds us the soul doesn't only speak in words, it speaks in images, rhythm, and the tiniest shifts of feeling. When love is real, it leaves a resonance you recognize because you feel it, not because anyone has argued you into it. You're a busy American pings deadline social noise. Yet even in the storm, there are lake-still moments, a knowing glance, hands that find each other without performance, two lungs falling into the same tempo. People call it chemistry. Jung would call it the resonance of archetypes. The anima and animus in each of us stop competing and begin to dance. That resonance is not a show. It's alchemy. Two presences meet, and if there's a reaction, both change quietly, lastingly. Why does the unconscious not lie? Because what we hide finds another path to speak. Projection makes us spot in the other what we won't yet own in ourselves: coldness, pride, even unlived light. Slips give the circuitry away, the breath that lands at the exact right moment, the tender look that darts away, the smile that arrives before the brain can oppose. And at the micro-behavior level, 1,000 unguarded signals carry the signature of truth: a torso leaning in or turning away, the warmth in a voice saying your name, a texting cadence that accidentally matches your quickening pulse. Persona can edit sentences. The unconscious leaks through these small seams of light. But not every silence is the language of love. Safe silence is oxygen. It invites you to speak when ready. No hurrying, no debt, no using the gap as punishment. You'll know it by presence, warm eyes that aren't invasive, a body angled toward you without crowding, open hands rather than folded arms. It honors boundaries and will repair when a misstep happens. Avoidant silence is a cold wall, withdrawal is control. It makes you shrink, doubt your worth, and drags on indefinitely with no path back. Weaponized silence is worse non-response, as leverage, a denial of your emotional reality that pushes you to question your own sensing. A simple test after silence: do they return name what happened and reopen connection? If yes, that's safe silence. If not, you're meeting avoidance or manipulation. What separates fragile affection from love that heals is the quality of presence. True love doesn't try to impress, it builds a climate. You feel it in unfilmed micro gestures that repeat: the warm water set by your bed, switching sidewalk sides so the traffic's on their shoulder, softening their voice when they notice your tired eyes. Small things done consistently weave a climate of care you breathe without asking. In Jung's terms, the ego learns to yield to the whole. Love stops being a concept and becomes the soundtrack of ordinary life. Two mirages can derail you. First, idealization: you crown the other person with a halo and call it believing in their potential. Healthy, positive projection can be fine if it stays tethered to reality and boundaries. Idealization denies blind spots and ignores alarms. It turns you into a rescuer running on fumes. Second, false attunement, sometimes matching breath and thoughts, or comes from shared fear or anxious attachment. That 2-week perfect fit may be two wounds touching. Real love reveals its repair capacity after conflict. Both can return name feelings, own a share, and agree on one small step toward each other. If your heart has gone quiet listening to this, you've likely tasted different kinds of silence. The point isn't to choose talk or no talk. It's to stay present in the rhythm of two hearts learning one another. The unconscious will keep confessing in tiny bulletins, their voice dropping half a tone, on "let's go home," the period in a late-night text, softening a hand landing on the exact spot of your back where your body exhales. You don't need to over-explain. Your body is already reading. So where do these signals arise? From deep image patterns, archetypes of union, guardian, companion. As anima and animus in you argue less, you project less, you see the other more clearly and yourself too. Then true love grows quieter, like a lamp placed just right, not blinding, but suddenly everything has depth. Whether you're in noisy New York or a small Western town, that lamp does what lamps do, helps you see the way home. Before we move on, ask yourself, which silence am I living in? Does it help you breathe deeper or make you fold smaller? What truth leaks slips? Micro rhythms are telling the real story of this bond. Don't judge yet, just notice. Awareness is the first change alchemically. It's the moment the flame is kindled before any mold is poured. Next, we'll map 5 core signs that let you recognize real love when it isn't speaking, how to tell attunement from fusion, responsible positive projection from idealization, safe silence from avoidance, and the small daily practices that nourish presence. If your chest just nodded, keep walking. The sky won't explode with fireworks, but it will clear. And in that clear sky, even the quiet will speak honestly. The first sign of real love often arrives in quiet. 2 bodies unconsciously match their breathing. 2 faces subtly mirror each other's feeling. 2 hands find each other not by ritual, but by a wordless knowing. Jung might call it a resonance of inner principles, anima and animus, in each of us, no longer fighting for control, but recognizing one another like 2 notes that suddenly fall into harmony. This isn't a psychological trick. It's an alchemical moment of meeting small yet enduring, where both people are changed by the other's presence. Picture a late afternoon in New York, rain-streaked streets glowing under amber lights. Ava steps off the subway, shoulders heavy, as if the whole office rides on her back. Ethan waits at the corner. No. How was your day? No stack of advice. A nod. They walk. 5 minutes in, their steps sink. Ava's jaw unclenches. A thin fog lifts in her chest. At the park, Ethan slips his scarf over her shoulders. No performance, no forced comfort, and gazes at the trees. She isn't pressed to talk, but if she did, she'd say, "I felt heard," before I said a word. The body understands what words would over-explain. In another city, another year, Ava learned a harder lesson. With someone else, the opening days were fireworks, texting in sync, laughing in sync, thinking in sync. Twin flames, they joked. Then one day the silence dropped like a heavy curtain, messages ignored like a test, eyes averted like punishment. And yet every reunion somehow resynchronized, which Ava mistook for destiny. In truth, it was counterfeit attunement born of hypervigilance. Her body learned to predict to avoid pain. The more she predicted, the more she matched. The more she matched, the more she mistook fear for love. That's trauma bonding, magnetic for its intensity, not its safety. Attuned love and enmeshment can both feel like we are one, but they are not the same. Attunement is 2 people touching a shared rhythm while keeping I and you. Enmeshment blurs the boundary. One person's needs become law for both. Silence becomes a set of reins. Attunement lets you breathe. Enmeshment makes you hold your breath. Attunement invites you to tell your story. Enmeshment makes you fear your story will be edited. Attunement knows how to return. "I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Can we try again?" Enmeshment breeds long punishments of distance. To draw that line clearly, Jung would have us look at attachment patterns formed early and carried into love. The anxious partner scans for signals and can mistake the buzz of worry for attunement because the body is always sweeping for signs of abandonment. The avoidant partner can confuse safe, breathable silence with controlling, punishing silence. They need distance to breathe, but without naming it, distance becomes a wall. The secure partner knows when to move close and when to ease back. They trust connection to survive the truth, and truth to clarify, not break love. Ask yourself, when the other is quiet, does your body open or contract? After the quiet, is there a clear invitation to rejoin? Your answers are already telling your attachment story. True attunement often shows up in tiny ways, too small to show off online. They slow their speech when you're tired. They angle their body to block the wind. They don't laugh too loudly at the movies when you need calm. Most of all, real attunement honors boundaries. Is it okay if I hug you? Do you want to tell the story, or just have me sit with you? If you say I need time alone tonight, they don't punish with coldness. They let you go without slamming the door. Attunement doesn't want to swallow you. It wants to walk beside you. Enmeshment often begins as uncanny understanding and slides quietly into control. Your schedule starts adjusting to match theirs. Your preferences slowly learn to avoid friction. We replace an I even for your private dreams. It sounds romantic until a small disagreement snaps the cord. Without a solid I, every difference feels like a threat. Enmeshment doesn't repair. It punishes through long silences or subtle digs that make you doubt your own senses. If you find yourself apologizing for feeling wrong over and over, pause. You may be paying the price for an erased boundary. So how do we tell attunement from wound-based synchrony? Watch the cycle, not the moment. Trauma bonding runs on a loop of high withdrawal reward neglect, then an intense flood of affection, then neglect again. The nervous system gets addicted to drama hormones. Each feeding convinces you it's fate. True attunement has a steadier pulse, fewer fireworks, more follow-through. It repairs quickly after a sharp word. They return soon, name what happened, and ask what would help you feel safer. Trauma bonding doesn't repair. It tells you to stop being so sensitive. A small moment from Ava and Ethan one night on their walk. Ava's breath catches. Ethan stops. "I'm here. Do you want to talk or be quiet?" "Quiet," she says. They stand listening to the city. 5 minutes later. "Thank you," she whispers. No speeches, no hacks. Attunement knows the right dose of presence is medicine. The next day, Ethan texts, "Did I miss anything yesterday?" That question is a little key. It opens the door to return. In enmeshment, the question becomes an interrogation. In trauma bonding, there is no question, only "you wore me out." You can cultivate attunement without losing yourself in 3 simple moves. First, name your state. "I want to be with you and I need quiet right now." Clear words spare the unconscious from guessing. Second, ask before touching or going deep. Is a hug? Okay. Do you want advice or company? That small permission creates a large safe space. Third, set a time to reconnect after silence. Let's pick this up at 8 p.m. A concrete time turns silence into a rest, not a punishment. Remember, attunement isn't mind reading. It's reading signals and confirming with words. In Jung's voice, this is how we build the vessel, a warm psychological container where feeling can evaporate slowly and sturdy enough not to crack when conflict arrives. Try a 60-second practice. Now sit together, eyes down on your hands, follow 3 breaths. Then each shares 1 sentence about the body. My shoulders are warming. My heartbeat is slowing. No analysis, just noticing. After a few days, add 1 line, "I'm needing." Let attunement grow from body to story. The body tells fewer lies than fear. There will be days you get it wrong, too loud, too quick, to touch too many questions. That's where attunement is tested. If they can say, "That was a bit much," and you can answer, "I get it, let me try again." You're doing alchemy, turning missteps into material for closeness. If all you have is shame and flight, you may not need more attunement yet. You may need more self-compassion and healthier limits. Sometimes loving well begins with stopping well. If you're practicing with us, drop a single line in the comments, "I'm learning to breathe with the truth." That's how this community recognizes one another, people choosing connection with boundaries, attunement with distinction. Share 1 moment of safe silence you've received or 1 time you bravely named a boundary. We read to learn, not to judge. And if you want to go deeper, check the description. There's a 7-day practice card. 1 tiny act, 1 question, 1 minute, back in the body. So you don't just understand attunement, you live it. Next, we'll enter a subtler territory when love looks at the seed of who you're becoming. How do we distinguish believing in potential from putting a halo on someone? When does supportive vision turn into the burden of idealization? And how can we withdraw our beautiful projections, keeping what's real and returning the other's freedom? If this chapter let your heart soften a little, stay with me. After learning to hear the shared breath, we'll learn to see with honest eyes so you can see them more clearly and be seen more clearly in return. There's a way of seeing that makes the heart grow instead of shrink, seeing someone not only as they are, but as the seed just beginning to stir inside them. Jung called this positive projection a beam of soul light that recognizes a quality coming alive in the other: compassion, courage, leadership, or the ability to stand still in a storm. In real love, that beam isn't a sugary illusion. It's like angling a mirror so sunlight reaches the seed and warms it to sprout. The danger is the turn where we slide from support to saving, from honoring potential to haloing a fantasy. What follows is a gentle, no-nonsense map to keep your heart open while your feet stay on the ground. Picture a very American scene, rainy Portland, a corner cafe. Olivia sits across from Marcus. She sees a rare sensitivity in him and a storyteller's gift that could move people. In her gaze, there's warmth, respect, and just right trust. Marcus smiles. He feels seen, not defined. That night, he writes his first short piece in years. Healthy connection works like this positive projection, as invitation, not a binding contract. Years earlier, Olivia did the other thing. I believe in your potential that actually meant I'll save you. She built schedules, coached, pleaded, overgave, carried the load. He stayed still. She burned out. When it ended, she woke up. She had turned belief into a mission, and missions devour joy. Reclaiming projection is a grown-up skill. It doesn't kill beauty. It puts beauty back where it belongs. Start a pocket notebook with 3 columns. What I see in them. Evidence now, mirror in me. If you write he's courageous name, today's evidence, not a dream of the future. He applied for the new project, apologized to his mom, admitted a mistake. In column 3, ask softly, where in me is courage needed that I haven't lived yet? That one question stops you from gilding someone else's shoulders and returns energy to your own life. You're not abandoning hope. You're refusing to carry someone else's hope for them. After a few days of notes, try a kind subject-object dialogue. Sit 5 minutes, drop your shoulders. Invite their image into a small, bright inner room, your safe, active imagination space. You speak first. I see courage in you. I honor it. And the courage I need to live is mine to carry. Listen for the reply. Truth is gentler than you think. If an inner voice says, please wait for me, you're allowed to answer, I'll wait within what doesn't harm me. I won't drop my boundaries or carry your tasks. This is Jung's method, not woo dialoguing with symbols inside a safe container, so you can tell projection from qualities that are proving themselves over time. Watch your body's rhythm for the moment. Support slides into saving. Around them, does your breath slow or race? Do you leave the conversation full or like you just worked a second shift? Are you canceling your plans, moving your goals, shrinking your life to help for now? That's stretched into months. Saving often carries the private line, I'm the only one who understands them. Support knows I'm one node in a network. Saving burns hot and leaves ash. Support burns slow and keeps a steady flame. Language gives it away. If your inner script starts with, without me, you're probably rescuing. If it sounds like I trust you and I respect your pace, you're empowering, not usurping. Boundaries are where love learns to tell the truth. A good boundary isn't a wall, it's a door on quiet hinges. Practice lines like, I can listen for 30 minutes tonight, then I have to return to my presentation. I love your project, and this savings is for tuition. I can't use it. I respect your dream, but coach isn't my role. Want to choose a mentor together. Boundaries can also be cadence. I need this weekend for family. Let's meet Monday. When the frame is clear, projection loses oxygen. If the other responds with matched effort and repairs after misses, you're in a mature field. If they punish, drag out old sins, or call your boundary selfish, it's time to return to your compass. A night in Chicago, Noor shares her hope to start a community art class. Liam looks her in the eyes. I see your gift for gathering people. I'll be nearby when you want feedback, but the plan is yours, the pace is yours. That sentence puts light where it belongs on Noor's potential without turning Liam into the sun. Next week, when admin drains her, he offers, I'll cook and keep the water flowing. For the grant draft, would you rather a teammate review than me? That's a warm boundary helping without taking the wheel. In Jung's voice, Eros, warmth, doesn't swallow logos. Structure, Eros warms, logos holds. Journals, inner dialogue, active imagination. These cool the metal before you forge. But life still has red-hot moments. If you catch yourself slipping a halo over someone, stop for 5 minutes. Hand on chest, breathe. Say quietly, I return to you what is yours. I bring back to me what is mine. Then do one concrete, ordinary thing that is yours. Wash a dish. Send the lingering email, a 45-second plank. Each small act is a step out of the rescue dream and back onto solid ground. Repeat often, and belief no longer has to flex into a mission. It returns to a kind gaze, like a gardener trusting the seed to sprout in its season. If I take my projections back, will love fade? Usually the opposite. When you stop demanding, they become your imagined version. You finally meet the real person. Love doesn't die from lack of halo. It dies from lack of the oxygen of truth. Truth can disappoint, yes, and it also lets you love them in their depth and be loved in yours. Like metallurgy, the precious metal shows only after ore is heated, hammered, washed. The process is noisy, the result is quiet. Join our small circle. Post one line, I'm reclaiming my projections back to my heart. Name a time you accidentally carried someone's load, and one boundary you'll try this week. Your sentence might be the mirror at the right angle for someone, not to make them depend on you, but to help them see their road. If you want steady rhythm, I've pinned a 7-day journal template and a safe active imagination guide, short time, deep, effect, workable, even across time zones and commuter trains. Next up is a treasure that seems obvious and is actually rare. The art of presence, how to listen with your whole body, how to create a warm, sturdy container for two people, and the micro signals that show you're truly present, not just performing good listener. As projection lightens, your gaze clears. As your gaze clears, presence becomes the soil where every meeting can take root. If this helped you breathe a shade deeper, keep walking, because next we won't just talk about love. We'll practice being with each other, not rushing to fix, not rushing to flee, just close enough for what's real to germinate. Presence is the quietest gift we can give each other. Not the tight screen stare kind of attention, but a living field of warmth and space, sturdy enough for feelings to arrive and leave. In Jung's voice, this is the vessel, a container where eros bonding kindness keeps the heat and logos clarity keeps the structure. In true presence, we don't rush to do something to the other. We stay with them, so what's real has a chance to sprout. Picture a small cafe in Austin. Two people sit side by side, the heat of coffee spreading across a wooden table. No speeches, no instant fix. Breath slows, eyes soften. The body lets its armor down. In that space, love doesn't make a declaration. It quietly does its work. But presence doesn't fall from the sky. It's forged the way a smith tempers metal heat hammer, rest, repeat. Here's a short, practical way that fits a busy American day, a 3-step presence practice: breathe, name the feeling, respond slowly. It's not a trick to mesmerize someone. It's training your own nervous system so old reflexes don't drive the moment. The steadier you are inside, the safer the space between you becomes, and the body recognizes that faster than the mind. 1. Breathe. Let breath steer your autonomic nervous system instead of fear taking the wheel. Simple polyvagal rule: longer exhales than inhales. Inhale through the nose for exhale for 6-8, as if you're blowing on a candle you don't want to snuff out. Let the shoulders drop a notch, unclench the arm, rest the tongue on the palate. Do a slow, orienting glance and silently name 3 things you see: a green mug, a warm lamp, a coat on the wall, so your body knows I'm here and I'm safe. If you can hum a soft or nasal tone for 10-15 seconds, low vibration strokes the vagus and warms your voice. At your desk or in the car, place both feet flat and feel the weight in your heels. Grounding signals help the heart settle. Don't try to breathe perfectly like an exam. Let the breath be a loose fishing line, slow, steady, patient enough for the life under the surface to rise. 2. Name the feeling. Name it to tame it isn't a hack. It's how we gather emotion back into a container. Use a 10-second frame. Right now I feel 1 word. In my body I notice. 1 place I need. 1 small need. For example, I feel confused. Chest a bit tight. I need to slow down. Or borrow a simple wheel. Joy, sadness, fear, anger, shame, gratitude. Choose 1. If words are hard, and return to body terms: hot, cold, heavy, light, open, wash, tight. In Jung's terms, you're giving the unconscious a voice, not letting it kick in the door, but inviting it to sit down and say its name. 3. Respond slowly. Let the pause be part of the conversation, not its enemy. Pocket rules: wait for 3 breaths before you answer. Mirror once before you add your view. I'm hearing you say, is that right? Ask consent before going deep. Okay, if I ask a harder question, then choose the smallest helpful response. Sit an inch closer, place a hand on your own chest to regulate, or suggest a 10-minute break and reconvene at 8 p.m. Slow responding doesn't kill the heat. It stops the spark from racing into the dry forest of old memory. Sounds nice, but in a fight, who remembers? We practice when the waves are small, so we can use it when they're big. Imagine a Seattle evening car idling at a red light. A single sentence hits an old bruise and you want to snap. Instead, you lengthen the exhale, look at the tree, Asian name, I feel angry and scared. You pause for 3 breaths, then say, I want to get you right. Could you say that once more slower? Time shifts from reaction to response. As your heart steadies, your hands feel the cool of the steering wheel, and your body remembers this is the present, not 2012. Polyvagal theory would call this a return to social engagement, eyes, voice, and face ready to connect. Tiny body moves help: a gentle wrist shake, a soft sway in your chair, or faint taps on your sternum, as if someone were knocking to say, I'm here. On a call, stand and look out the window. Find 3 blue objects and notice your stomach loosen a notch. If it's mutual and consensual lacing fingers, or a 20-30 second hug can give a light oxytocin lift. Always remember safety. Technique: don't hug to manipulate, only hug when you both want it. Real presence also honors boundaries, yours and theirs. You might say, I want to hear everything and I need 5 minutes to breathe so I can respond clearly, or I wish I could help tonight, but I don't have the energy. Let's talk at 9 a.m. and walk it step by step. That's not performative politeness. That's the architect setting the steel frame for an emotional building. When boundaries are clear, the body drops its guard. When defenses drop, presence arrives on its own. We also need to tell real presence from playing the role of presence. Real presence makes the other person breathe deeper. Role play makes them feel interviewed. Real presence has a warm delay. You don't rush to counter, and your sentence doesn't hitch a butt. Performance keeps the gaze at the right angle, nods on cue, and writes a rebuttal inside. A simple test after the talk. What does your body say? If you feel clearer, even after a hard topic, you are likely there. If you leave drained and doubting yourself, maybe you finish the listening act instead of listening. In Jung's language, training presence is the metallurgy of attention. Attention is the fire. The space between us is the forge. Emotion is raw metal. Give the forge a rhythm. Don't keep the heat constant. Give the metal rest. Don't hammer nonstop. In practice, set presence anchors at specific moments in the day, 30 seconds before entering the house. 3 breaths before dinner begins 1 minute of quiet before sleep. Repeated long enough, anchors become climate, and climate, as we know, makes the seasons. Conflict isn't the enemy of love, it's the weather. A storm can collapse a patched-together roof, but that same rain washes the dust off and makes forgotten lines visible again. In Jung's language, this is the tension of the opposites. The charged space between 2 poles where alchemy can happen if the container is warm and sturdy enough. The question isn't, how do we never fight? It's how do we move through the rain so that when the sky clears, new life is possible. Today is a practical map that keeps the soul intact. A 5-step repair ritual, plus the key distinction between needs and strategies, so you don't get lost in word mazes and can find each other again. When conflict shows up at your door, do you slam it shut, or can you let it in as weather that will pass? Picture a Friday night in Denver. 2 people come home, tired, hungry, quiet. One tosses a line, "Why didn't you text me?" And the other snaps back, "I was busy." Okay, the air thickens instantly. At that threshold, the old nervous system wants to fight, flee, or freeze. But there's a 4th path: repair, returning to each other with gentle truth and clear structure. Think of it like a kitchen ritual, simple movements that can change the climate of a relationship. What would it feel like if your home had a reliable way to end a storm? Step 1, acknowledge, say yes to reality. No justifying, no scorekeeping, just an open door. I see you felt abandoned tonight, or I see you're tense and defensive. Acknowledgement isn't taking all the blame. It's putting both feet on the same ground and naming what happened between us. If the first words feel hard, try, "What my heart is hearing right now is." Step 2, validate feelings, grant permission to exist. Validation lets emotions be present without rushing to fix them. That feeling makes sense after waiting for hours. Of course, you're disappointed. Or, in your shoes, I'd feel hurt too. Validation isn't agreeing with every conclusion. It pulls the nail out of the heart so the ears can hear again. Pro tip: repeat 3 exact words your partner used in order it signals true listening. Which 3 words did you need to hear echoed back this week? Step 3, own your part, lay a brick for trust. Find your piece, however small. "I didn't text when I said I would," or "I raised my voice, that wasn't fair." Responsibility is the mortar. Without it, all words are hollow. If you're tempted to push all the blame outward, pause for 3 breaths and ask, what one small action of mine contributed? 1 is enough to unlock the door. Step Step 4, name the need, then propose a strategy. Don't confuse the two. This is where couples get lost. A need is core safety, respect, connection, clarity, rest, autonomy. A strategy is how you try to meet at text every 30 minutes, share location, talk for 3 hours. Never go out on Fridays. Fights stall at the level of strategy, while the needs underneath are often surprisingly similar. Lead with needs. My need is to feel I matter. The strategy I'm considering is one text when you leave the office. Do you have another strategy that still meets that need? Or I need decompression after 6 p.m. My strategy is 20 minutes of silence before we talk. Once needs are named, you can co-create the lightest strategy that still works. What's the need behind your strongest demand? Step 5, a connection ritual. Close the loop so the body believes we're okay. Repair can't end in the head. The nervous system needs a bodily sign that safety has returned. Create a ritual thumb-to-thumb touch for 10 seconds, a 20-second hug, a 5-minute walk around the block, making tea together, or simply hand on your heart, then on your partner's, exhaling slowly together. Add a small, time-bound commitment. Tomorrow, 7:30, I'll text before leaving work, or Sunday we'll sit 15 minutes to review our week. Close with a door latch sentence. We've come back to each other. What tiny ritual would tell your body the storm has passed? Back to Denver. After a tense minute, they try the 5 steps. The door opens with, I see you're sad, you waited for my text. The rope loosens with, that makes sense, you waited all evening. A brick lands. I promised to text before 8 and I forgot. Needs are named. I need to feel prioritized. You need 20 minutes to decompress after work. Strategies are agreed, a quick, on my way text plus 20 minutes of quiet before the call. They touch hands for 10 seconds, then wash dishes together. Running water is a great ritual. The body knows the moment has moved on. No miracle, just 2 humans choosing to return on time. For rituals to take root, remember 3 principles. Timing, smallness, consent. 1, timing. Open the repair within 24 hours. Don't let a night congeal into a season. 2, smallness. Pick the smallest helpful step. Don't promise grand gestures you can't sustain once emotions settle. 3, consent connection rituals require 2 yeses. A hug connects only when it's wanted. If one person isn't ready, set a time to return, don't yank. A firm boundary repair is not a remedy for abuse. If there's contempt threats, gaslighting, financial control, stalking, or chronic fear, your priority is safety, professional help, trusted friends, community services. Alchemy needs a vessel. Violence shatters the vessel. No one has to stand in toxic fire to prove their love. Let's revisit needs versus strategies, because this is where unintentional harm happens. She says, you have to text me every hour. He hears you want to control me. Underneath the need might be reassurance after past abandonment. He says, I need to turn off notifications all day Sunday. She hears I don't matter. Underneath the need could be rest to refill a drained social battery. When the needs sit side by side, strategies become creative instead of text every hour. Try 2 set check-ins plus 1 quality call. Instead of off all day, try off 3 hours in the morning plus a 30-minute midday check-in. When needs meet, strategies soften. In Jung's cadence, every repair is a coagulatio. The gentle setting after chaos has melted things down. Don't wish for never again. Wish for shorter, softer, quicker to repair. That's the sign a relationship has moved from survival to livable. Tape a small note to the fridge. When storms hit, breathe. Speak small truths. Name needs. Choose a strategy. Touch. Repeat it enough, and ritual becomes climate. I want to invite you into a circle of people practicing returning on time. Drop a simple line in the comments. We came back. If you like, add 1 small strategy you'll try this week to meet a real need. And on my way, text a 15-minute undistracted call or a tea ritual after tough talks. We don't grade each other here. We help one another build a roof that holds. Next, we'll step into the hottest part of the forge, the place most relationships are afraid to go. Welcoming vulnerability. How do you sit with your beloved's pain without fixing, preaching, or walking away? How can silence become a safe harbor rather than a weapon? And how can your body, eyes, voice, posture say, I'm here in a way that lets wounds begin to heal? If today gave you a frame for moving through rain, the next part will hand you a warm coat, So when the wind rises, the heart still has shelter. I'll meet you there where tears aren't shameful and closeness doesn't need slogans, just presence. There are moments when the heart must lay down its armor. We confess what we fear most, show the deepest crack, or simply sit there with no energy left to be strong. In Jung's cadence, this is the forge of vulnerability, the place where raw metal meets fire. Real love doesn't perform here. It stays. It doesn't rush to advise. It creates a vessel, a warm, sturdy bowl wide enough for sorrow to pass through without sweeping us away. When the other person chooses to stay in the right way, the body knows at once. Heart rate settles, shoulders drop, breath lengthens. Not magic, just the physiology of safety and the ethics of loving. Picture a fine snow evening in Minneapolis. Maya exhales, "I feel like a failure." No speech. David resists the quick, shiny reassurance. "No, you're amazing," because speed can be a lonely place. He slows himself with a long exhale and whispers, "I'm here. Do you want me to listen or hold you?" Two humble options, and the door to safety opens. This is how we meet vulnerability presence that doesn't weigh down, invade, or turn their story into our stage. But let's distinguish the kinds of silence. Safe silence is a harbor. It holds you, then returns to the unfinished talk. Avoidant silence pulls the plug in the shared room and leaves the other in the dark. Punitive silence uses the gap as punishment, making you doubt your very reality. A simple test after silence: is there a concrete return? Even a small line. "Let's pick this up at 8 p.m. is a vow of safety. Now weave back a few threads from earlier resonance versus fusion attachment and the snare of trauma bonding, because all of them appear when we're most tender. Resonance honors boundaries. "May I touch you? Would you like advice or company?" Fusion erases them. We rush to fix you, to soothe ourselves, or pull you into our swirl to avoid feeling yours. For the anxious, tenderness can trigger chasing. For the avoidant, it can trigger retreat. Trauma bonding slips in here, an intense "I'm here," then a cold withdrawal, then a feverish return. The body gets addicted to the cycle and calls it destiny. Real love is different, less spectacular, more consistent. It doesn't make us fly, it lets us breathe. So how do we stay in a way that heals? So our presence becomes a vessel, not a flood. Try a simple 3-part ritual whenever your person opens up. 1. Stoke the hearth, self-regulate. Slow with a longer exhale, soften jaw and shoulders. Name 3 things you see. If it fits, hum a barely audible for a few seconds. You're telling your nervous system we are safe enough to listen. 2. Name what you hear, validate without judgment. Use the 10-second frame, "I hear you say." Repeat their exact 3-word. "I imagine you feel." "Do you want me to listen, hold, ask more?" You're not being an expert, you're saying you are not alone in here. 3. Stay with a frame. If you need a break, set a return. Let's pause 10 minutes. Pick up at 8. Seal with a consent-based gesture. 10 seconds of hand-to-hand pouring. Warm water cracking a window for fresh air. For many busy Americans, that's the difference between feeling held and feeling dropped. Another scene, Lucas tells Emma about a recent panic surge. Her reflexes, fix mode, gym less coffee, this meditation app. But she stops, exhales, and offers, "Do you want me to just sit with you for 10 minutes? He nods. 10 minutes doesn't heal a lifetime, but it changes direction from being handled to being witnessed. Emma also knows her limits. She's not his therapist. If symptoms repeat, they'll seek help. She keeps her own rhythm. Warmth with boundaries, that's resonance, not fusion. Use these 4 gatekeeper questions when someone opens their heart to you. Am I lightening their feelings or actually helping carry them? After these 15 minutes, will I still respect my time boundary? Is this safe silence nearby with a set return, or avoidant silence? Vanish. No word. If I feel like I'm the only one who can save them, am I being pulled into trauma bonding? Mind the body's language too. Warm eyes that don't stare. Torso turned toward, not looming over. Open hands. A lower, slower voice. Neither secretive whisper nor courtroom edge. If they cry, place a tissue within reach. Instead of touching, right away, touch is kind only when wanted. Always ask. Yesterday's yes doesn't guarantee today's. And remember, staying does not mean staying at any cost. If the conversation crosses into violence, contempt, threats, safety comes first. End the talk call. Support, leave the space. Love never asks you to be the container for someone's undisciplined rage. The forge needs clean fuel. Precious metal doesn't form in toxic smoke. Some seasons of life can only be heard when we're willing to quiet down. After walking together through attunement and boundaries, projection and retrieval, presence and repair, let me leave you with a small letter from the heart durable. Love isn't loud, it repeats. It's the way you put a warm glass of water in the right place each night, the text me when you get home that turns into a gentle habit, the hand that doesn't rush to fix, just stays close enough for the other heartbeat to recognize its harbor. In Jung's language, when the ego stops fighting to be the lead, the self, the deep center begins to conduct the orchestra. And then the music no longer needs to prove itself. It only needs to be lived each day in small acts that know how to repeat. If you carry only one sentence from this episode, carry this: return in time. Not to win an argument, but to remember we are still on the same side, the side of truth and kindness. When the rain of conflict has passed and the furnace of vulnerability is still warm, the climate is set by small things: the collar you lift on my coat, the best slice of cake offered without ceremony, the look that doesn't punish when I need quiet. These simple pieces are love's handwriting. Each stroke a promise: I'm here. You're here. We will return. Your busy meetings, highways, city noise. So here's a gentle closing ritual you can try tonight. 1. Pause for 3 breaths. Make the exhale longer than the inhale. 2. Name one honest feeling in 5 words or less: a little tired, also grateful. 3. Choose one tiny act of care. Pour warm water, touch a hand for 10 seconds. Send one line: text me when you're home. No speeches, just cadence. Repeated long enough, cadence becomes trust, and trust becomes home. If a corner of you is softening, add 1 brick to the climate we're building here together. Drop a short comment: I choose to return in time. If you like, add 1 repeating small act you'll practice in the next 24 hours. Wash the bowl instead of a long apology schedule, the part 2 of a hard talk after a quiet break, or place a hand over your heart and let your breath set the tempo before you reply. Your line doesn't just inspire, it becomes a trail marker for someone else finding their way back. And if this video touched you, subscribe and tap the bell, not for numbers, but because each week we'll keep distilling ordinary days into meaning, from archetypes and dreams to repair rituals in the art of presence. Your presence thickens and warms this conversation. Who knows, one sentence you leave below might be the mirror at the right angle for someone out in a windy night. Before you close the screen, write a pocket reminder: breathe, name, return. Tape it to the fridge, set it as your lock screen, or ink it on page 1 of your notebook. On the days when the heart is tired, you won't need a theory. You'll need a rhythm, the rhythm of breath, of sincerity, of timely return. In heavy books, in radiant dreams, Jung keeps pointing us toward a light that doesn't glare, the kind that gives things depth. You've seen that light somewhere in these lines: in a timely apology, in an embrace that asks permission, in a silence that promises to come back. Carry that light into kitchens, bus stations, and rainy afternoons. One day when someone asks why you're steadier, you'll smile because I chose to repeat love until it became a climate. As a parting promise, the next episode opens the door into the world of small repeats. How to recognize love, woven into habit, how to design micro rituals that fit a busy American life, and how images from dreams can suggest tiny but right everyday steps. If that stirs your curiosity, don't wander far. We'll keep learning how to read the soul's gentlest signals so we don't miss its soft, deep language. Thank you for coming this far. If you're willing to share one detail from today, you'll turn into love's handwriting the smallest act you'll repeat. I'll read, this whole circle will read, and together we'll practice the simplest, hardest thing: staying with one another truthfully day after day.